Black people began worship generally, remember this is a very rural area, so most of the church histories start with something like people gathered in small groups in a brush arbor. So somewhere in a clearing in the woods, kind of, they would have worship. And out of that, they eventually built buildings. Churches go back to the end of the Civil War. Ball Rock was founded in 1865. So was the church that we now call Rock Temple AME. It was just called the Rock Church, and it was around where Millstead Avenue is now. Eventually, the name Temple was added, and it was became an affiliate of the AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church, which is the oldest Black denomination in the U.S. And some of the building stories are interesting too. In some cases, they show a kind of cooperation between Black Rockdale and White Rockdale in terms of Blacks receiving assistance in the construction of churches. Peaks Chapel comes to mind. It was built in 1868. A man named William Peak, and he was a big planter, politician type in the county. One story is that he gave land to Black folks, but the real story, according to the deeds I found in the courthouse, is that he sold them land for a modest amount that they had to pay off over some time, but apparently helped to finance the construction of the church. The church took on a very special role in Black lives that may have been a bigger role in the lives than church might have been in other people's lives. It was a spiritual home. It was a social place. It was an educational place. The churches were kind of a place where you could be free to be, because about 6 days of the week, you might be subject to all kinds of insults and various kinds of abuses. You were not treated with the kind of respect due you. Women would be called Annie or something like that. A man, no matter how old, might be called boy by a white boy. So there were all these kinds of indignities you had to deal with. But in that church world, you could be somebody. Double Spring Baptist Church started a school in 1879. Now remember, Rockdale County came into being in 1870. So in its earliest days, you have Black people with churches starting schools. By the early 1880s, Rock Church, which we now call Rock Temple, as I said, Pleasant Hill CME Church, New Hope Baptist Church, White's Chapel United Methodist, Peaks Chapel Baptist, Shady Grove Baptist, Ball Rock Baptist, all had schools. They were generally the one-room school kind of thing. The length of the school year also differed for Black kids, not because they didn't necessarily want to learn, but because their school year revolved around the agricultural needs of the county and the needs of the family for income. So a school year might be 3 months. And for many years, that school itself didn't go beyond 7th grade, but the church was the home for that.